Janet Jackson, and This Is the Truth. Janet Damita Jo Jackson, born May 16, 1966, is an American singer, songwriter, actress, and dancer. A prominent figure in popular culture, she is noted for her sonically innovative, socially conscious and sexually provocative records, and elaborate stage shows. The 10th and youngest child of the Jackson family, she began her career with the variety television series The Jacksons in 1976 and went on to appear in other television shows throughout the 1970s and early 1980s, including Good Times, Different Strokes, and Fame. After signing a recording contract with A&M Records in 1982, she became a pop icon following the release of her third and fourth studio albums Control, 1986, and Rhythm Nation 1814, 1989. Her collaborations with record producers Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis incorporated elements of rhythm and blues, funk, disco, rap and industrial beats, which led to crossover success in popular music. In 1991, Jackson signed the first of two record-breaking multi-million-dollar contracts with Virgin Records, establishing her as one of the highest-paid artists in the industry. Her fifth album Janet, 1993, saw her develop a public image as a sex symbol as she began to explore sexuality in her music. That same year, she appeared in her first starring film role in Poetic Justice, and has since continued to act in feature films. Jackson then released her sixth studio album The Velvet Rope, 1997, which is distinguished for its innovative production and dark lyrical content. By the end of the 1990s, she was named by Billboard magazine as the second most successful recording artist of the decade after Mariah Carey. Her seventh album All For You, 2001, coincided with a celebration of her impact on the recording industry as the inaugural MTV icon. Followed her infamous wardrobe malfunction at the 2004 Super Bowl 38 halftime show, and she experienced reduced sales from that point forward. After parting ways with Virgin Records, she released her 10th album Discipline, 2008, her first and only album with Island Records. In 2015, she partnered with BMG Rights Management to launch her own record label, Rhythm Nation, and released her 11th album Unbreakable the same year. Having sold over 100 million records, Jackson is one of the world's best-selling music artists of all time. She has amassed an extensive catalog, with singles such as Nasty, Rhythm Nation, That's the Way Love Goes, Together Again and All For You. She holds the record for the most consecutive top 10 entries on the US Billboard Hot 100 Singles chart by a female artist with 18. In 2008, Billboard placed her number 7 on its list of the Hot 100 all-time top artists, and in 2010 ranked her 5th among the top 50 R&B/hip-hop artists of the past 25 years. In December 2016, the magazine named her the second most successful dance club artist after Madonna. She has been cited as an inspiration among numerous performers. Jackson was inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2019. Personal life. At age 18, Janet Jackson eloped with singer James DeBarge in September 1984. The marriage was annulled in November 1985. On March 31, 1991, Jackson married dancer/songwriter/director Rene Elizondo Jr. The marriage was kept a secret until the split was announced. In January 1999, the couple separated and were divorced in 2000. Elizondo filed a lawsuit against her, estimated to have been between $10 to $25 million, which did not reach a settlement for 3 years. From 2002 to 2009, Jackson dated music producer/rapper/songwriter Jermaine Dupri. In 2010, Jackson met Qatari businessman Wissam Al Mana and began dating him shortly after that. The couple became engaged and married privately in 2012. In 2016, Jackson announced that they were expecting their first child together. On January 3, 2017, Jackson gave birth to a son, Issa Al Mana. In April 2017, it was announced that the couple had separated and were pursuing a divorce. Life and career. 1966 to 1985, early life and career beginnings. Jackson, bottom row. In a 1977 CBS photo on the set of The Jacksons, Janet Damita Jo Jackson was born on May 16, 1966, in Gary, Indiana, the youngest of 10 children, to Catherine Esther, née Screws, and Joseph Walter Jackson. The Jacksons were lower middle class and devout Jehovah's Witnesses, although Jackson would later refrain from organized religion. At a young age, her brothers began performing as the Jackson 5 in the Chicago Gary area. In March 1969, the group signed a record deal with Motown, and soon had their first #1 hit. The family then moved to the Encino neighborhood of Los Angeles. Jackson had initially desired to become a horse racing jockey or entertainment lawyer, with plans to support herself through acting. Despite this, she was anticipated to pursue a career in entertainment and considered the idea after recording herself in the studio. At age 7, Jackson performed at the MGM Casino on the Las Vegas Strip. A biography revealed her father, Joseph Jackson, was emotionally withdrawn and told her to address him solely by his first name as a child. She began acting in the variety show The Jacksons in 1976. In 1977, she was selected to have a starring role as Benny Gordon Woods in the sitcom Good Times. She later starred in A New Kind of Family and later got a recurring role on Different Strokes, portraying Charlene Dupree from seasons 3 to 6. Jackson also played the role of Cleo Hewitt during the 4th season of Fame, but expressed indifference towards the series, largely due to the emotional stress of her secret marriage to R&B singer James DeBarge. Jackson later elaborated on her time on the show in an interview with Anderson Cooper, revealing that the cast would occasionally play pranks on her, but she spoke fondly of them. When Jackson was 16, her father and manager Joseph Jackson arranged a contract for her with A&M Records. Her debut album, Janet Jackson, was released in 1982. It was produced by Angela Winbush, Renee Moore, Bobby Watson of Rufus and Leon Silvers 3, and overseen by her father Joseph. It peaked at number 63 on the Billboard 200, and number 6 on the publication's R&B Albums chart, receiving little promotion. The album appeared on the Billboard Top Black Albums of 1983, while Jackson herself was the highest-ranking female vocalist on the Billboard Year-End Black Album Artists. Jackson's second album, Dream Street, was released 2 years later. Dream Street reached number 147 on the Billboard 200, and number 19 on the R&B Albums chart. The lead single Don't Stand Another Chance peaked at number 9 on Billboard's R&B Singles chart. Both albums consisted primarily of bubblegum pop music. 1986 to 1988, Control. After her second album, Jackson terminated business affairs with her family, commenting, "I just wanted to get out of the house, get out from under my father, which was one of the most difficult things that I had to do." Attempting a third album, Jackson teamed with producers Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. They set out to achieve crossover pop appeal, while also creating a strong foundation within the urban market. Within 6 weeks, Jackson and the duo crafted her third studio album, Control, released in February 1986. The album shot to number 1 on the Billboard 200, and was certified 5-fold platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA, selling over 10 million copies worldwide. Control was declared remarkably nervy and mature for a teenage act, also considered an alternative to the sentimental balladry which permeated radio, likening Jackson to Donna Summer's position of unwilling to accept novelty status and taking her own steps to rise above it. The album spawned 5 top 5 singles: What Have You Done For Me Lately, Nasty, When I Think of You, Control, and Let's Wait a While, and a top 15 hit with The Pleasure Principle. When I Think of You became her first number 1 hit on the Hot 100. Control received 6 Billboard Awards, including Top Pop Singles Artist, and 3 Grammy nominations, most notably Album of the Year. It also won 4 American Music Awards from 12 nominations, an unbroken record. At this point, Jackson was successfully shaking off the experience of being a Shadow Jackson child, becoming an artist in her own right. The album's lyrical content included several themes of empowerment, inspired by an incident of sexual harassment, with Jackson recalling the danger hit home when a couple of guys started stalking me on the street, and instead of running to Jimmy or Terry for protection, I took a stand. I backed them down. That's how songs like Nasty and What Have You Done For Me Lately were born, out of a sense of self-defense. Its innovative fusion of dance pop and industrial music with hip-hop and R&B undertones influenced the development of the new jack swing genre by bridging the gap between the latter two styles. The accompanying music videos shot for the album's singles became popular on MTV, and obtained a then-unknown Paula Abdul a recording contract for her choreography work with Jackson. Billboard stated, Jackson's accessible sound and spectacularly choreographed videos were irresistible to MTV, and helped the channel evolve from rock programming to a broader, beat-driven musical mix. Artistry, music and voice. Jackson possesses a mezzo-soprano vocal range. Over the course of her career, she has received frequent criticism for the limitations of her vocal capabilities, especially in comparison to contemporary artists such as Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. In comparing her vocal technique to Houston and Aretha Franklin, vocal coach Roger Love states that, when Janet sings, she allows a tremendous amount of air to come through. She's obviously aiming for a sexy, sultry effect, and on one level that works nicely. But actually, it's fairly limited. He adds that while her voice is suitable for studio recording, it doesn't translate well to stage because despite having great songs, incredible dancing, and her star-like presence, the live show is still magnificent. But the voice is not the star. Biographer David Ritz commented, on Janet's albums, and in her videos and live performances, which revealed a crisp, athletic dance technique, singing wasn't the point, saying emphasis was placed on her slamming beats, infectious hooks, and impeccable production values. Eric Henderson of Slant magazine claimed critics opposing her small voice somehow missed the explosive gimme a beat vocal pyrotechnics she unleashes all over Nasty. Or that they completely dismissed how perfect her tremulous hesitance fits into the abstinence anthem Let's Wait a While. Classical composer Louis Andriessen has praised Jackson for her rubato, sense of rhythm, sensitivity, and the childlike quality of her strangely erotic voice. Several critics also consider her voice to often be enveloped within her music's production. Music critic J.D. Considine noted on albums, Jackson's sound isn't defined by her voice so much as by the way her voice is framed by the lush, propulsive production of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Wendy Robinson of Pop Matters said the power of Janet Jackson's voice does not lie in her pipes. She doesn't blow, she whispers. Jackson's confectionery vocals are masterfully complemented by gentle harmonies and balanced out by pulsing rhythms, so she's never unpleasant to listen to. Matthew Perpetus of Flux Blog suggested Jackson's vocal techniques as a study for indie rock music, considering it to possess a somewhat subliminal effect on the listener, guiding and emphasizing dynamic shifts without distracting attention from its primal hooks. Perpetus added, her voice effortlessly transitions from a rhythmic toughness to soulful emoting to a flirty softness without overselling any aspect of her performance. A continuum of emotions and attitudes that add up to the impression that we're listening to the expression of a fully formed human being with contradictions and complexities. Jackson's music has encompassed a broad range of genres. Her records from the 1980s have been described as being influenced by Prince, as her producers are ex-members of the time. Sal Cinquemani wrote that in addition to defining top 40 radio, she gave Prince's Minneapolis sound a distinctly feminine, and, with songs like What Have You Done For Me Lately? Nasty, Control, and Let's Wait a While, a distinctly feminist spin. On Control, Richard J. Rapani documented that she, Jam and Lewis had crafted a new sound that fuses the rhythmic elements of funk and disco, along with heavy doses of synthesizers, percussion, sound effects, and a rap music sensibility. Author Ricky Vincent stated that she has often been credited for redefining the standard of popular music with the industrial strength beats of the album. She is considered a trendsetter in pop balladry, with Richard Wisger stating the black pop ballad of the mid-1980s had been dominated by the vocal and production style that was smooth and polished, led by singers Whitney Houston, Janet Jackson, and James Ingram. Jackson continued her musical development by blending pop and urban music with elements of hip-hop in the 90s. This included a softer representation, articulated by lush, soulful ballads and up-tempo dance beats. She is described by music critic Greg Kot as an artist who has reshaped the sound and image of rhythm and blues within the first decade of her career. Critic Carla Peterson remarked that she is a sharp dancer, an appealing performer, and as That's the Way Love Goes proves, an ace pop songwriter. Selected material from the following decade has been viewed less favorably, as Sal Cinquemani comments except for maybe R.E.M., no other former superstar act has been as prolific with such diminishing commercial and creative returns. Jackson has changed her lyrical focus over the years, becoming the subject of analysis in musicology, African American studies, and gender studies. David Ritz compared Jackson's musical style to Marvin Gaye's, stating, like Marvin, autobiography seemed the sole source of her music. Her art, also like Marvin's, floated over a reservoir of secret pain. Much of her success has been attributed to a series of powerful, metallic grooves, her chirpy, multi-tracked vocals, and a lyrical philosophy built on pride and self-knowledge. Ritz also stated, the mystery is the low flame that burns around the perimeters of Janet Jackson's soul. The flame feeds off the most highly combustible elements, survival and ambition, caution and creativity, supreme confidence and dark fear. During the 1980s, her lyrics embodied self-actualization, feminist principles, and politically driven ideology. Gillian Giger described Control as an autobiographical tale about her life with her parents, her first marriage, and breaking free. Jessie Carney Smith wrote with that album, she asserted her independence, individuality, and personal power. She challenged audiences to see her as a transformed person, from an engineer to a grow-up, multi-talented celebrity. Referring to Rhythm Nation 1814 as an embodiment of hope, Timothy Scherer wrote it may remind some of Sly Stone prior to There's a Riot Going On and other African American artists of the 1970s in its tacit assumption that the world imagined by Dr. King is still possible, that the American dream is a dream for all people. On Janet, Jackson began focusing on sexual themes. Shane Lee wrote that her music over the following decade branded her as one of the most sexually stimulating vocalists of the 1990s. Lily J. Gorn observed Jackson's evolution from politically aware musician to sexy diva marked the direction that society and the music industry were encouraging the dance rock divas to pursue. The Washington Post declared Jackson's public image over the course of her career had shifted from innocence to experience, inspiring such carnal albums as 1993's Janet and 1997's The Velvet Rope, the latter of which explored the bonds, figuratively and literally, of love and lust. The song Free Zone from The Velvet Rope, which portrays same-sex relationships in a positive light, is described by sociologist Shane Lee as a rare incident in which a popular black vocalist explores romantic or sensual energy outside the contours of heteronormativity, making it a significant song in black sexual politics. During promotion for Janet, she stated, "I love feeling deeply sexual, and don't mind letting the world know. For me, sex has become a celebration, a joyful part of the creative process." Upon the release of Damita Jo, Jackson stated, beginning with the earlier albums, exploring, and liberating, my sexuality has been an ongoing discovery and theme, adding, as an artist, that's not only my passion, it's my obligation. Stephen Thomas Erlewine has found Jackson's consistent inclusion of sex in her music lacking ingenuity, especially in comparisons to other artists such as Prince, stating, while sex indisputably fuels much great pop music, it isn't an inherently fascinating topic for pop music. As with anything, it all depends on the artist.